Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Barbarian build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. So this was a request. It's going to be a Bard and a Barbarian combined. And now there's going to be a little bit of a twist here. I'm going to be adding in 2 levels of Paladin. And the reason for that being is because the Barbarian can't concentrate on any spells while it is in its rage form. So that's really difficult when you're playing as a bard, which is a spellcaster, but we're going to put those spell slots to use because you can smite while you're raging. So we're going to go with 5 levels of barbarian, 5 levels of bard, and 2 levels of paladin. Now the level up flow I'll be getting into, but since the barbarian is so heavy in terms of the skills that you need, we're going to be dumping strength completely because we do need a little bit of dexterity, constitution, and charisma. So yeah, what we're going to make up for this with is the potions that put our strength to 27. There's also some that'll put it to 21, so use those until you get to Act 3 because we can just dump our strength. There's also gauntlets that can set our strength to 21, so those are really useful. We're going to go with high constitution as possible since that's how the barbarian is going to be defending. I'll be getting into the armor for this as well, but we're going to mostly put our points into like dexterity, charisma. We can drop the wisdom down a bit and something along the lines of that looks good. Remember, we're going to be dumping our strength because we're going to be putting our points into that else house. So you can take your constitution up to 16 or 17, and then charisma we'll leave it at 15, or we can go either of these. I think dexterity is being a bit more important to us, so that's what we're going to go with for our first level. Now this build is quite funky, but we're going to get into the gear as well. So typically we'd probably go 5 levels of barbarian first just to keep things simple. So you get danger sense, advantage on saving throws, dexterity saving throws, so that's good to have. Reckless attack as well. The barbarian doesn't get a whole lot to choose from in terms of spells and things like that because there's not any spells. But our subclass here, we're going to be going with the Berserker. Reason for that being is we get Frenzy, which is even stronger than Rage. We get Frenzied Strike as a bonus action in Rage Throw. Wild Heart can be fun if you wanted to do a bit more of spell casting with the Bard, but that's not really smart to do because it's not very strong. We do get the Searing Smite here, so that's one, I guess, kind of smite that we can get, but we're going to be using the Paladin for that as well to get a few extra different smites. Now Barbarian level 4, we get our first feat. So for this, ability improvement is obviously what we want to go with to bump our constitution up to give us a little bit extra health. And then we can also take our charisma up to 16 just to have it nice and leveled off for when we go into our next level. So Barbarian 5 is the max that we're going to go with. The reason for that being is we get our extra attack and then extra movement, 3 extra meters when not wearing heavy armor. And then we also get our branding smite there for benefit from turning invisible. So 5 levels of barbarian is all we're going to be taking. We could go 7 levels and drop the bard down a little bit, but I tried this out and I think that the best way to go about doing this is to go with about 5 levels of each. Now for our cantrips, we can't hold concentration on these, but Friends is nice if you're a face of your party. Minor Illusion can be useful to group enemies together. Vicious Mockery can be a decent one to inflict the disadvantage on next attack roll. Mage Hand can be nice to have something to throw potions, I guess. That's, I guess, really the only other thing that you could really go with. But Minor Illusion and Blade Ward, or throw in Mage Hand. I guess those are the best. For spell slots, this is tricky because we're not able to use spells whenever we're in our forum there, so we'll typically keep these. Maybe like something like Long Strider can be nice because extra movement speed is always good. Out of combat heals if you really need it. Heroism is a no-go because it's a concentration. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is also concentration, so we got to be kind of mindful in what we take. You could use something like Featherfall for utility or Disguise Self. But it's tough because a lot of these are things that we are going to be using while we're raging we can't use. So Thunder Wave, Speak with Animals can be okay. Starting Instrument doesn't really matter. Abilities, Proficiency, and Deception can be nice. Something like that would be good. So we're gonna get a few more levels of Bard, but you could actually go like 2 levels, like 1 level of Bard and add in 2 levels of Paladin just for the extra damage there. The smites is really what the most useful thing is about this. Sleep can be kind of nice as well to have. Animal friendship, typically before you go into your berserk form, can be good. Disguise self can be decent at times. But that's what the next level. The barbarian is not optimal. Don't get me wrong, like this isn't going to be very strong, but it can have some usefulness. So for our bard subclass, cutting words can be kind of nice, but I think it's best to go College of Swords because we get our flourishes, which we're able to use, and there's defensive flourish will increase your armor class by 4 if you hit, and then there's the slashing flourish, which gives us the ability to attack 2 enemies at once. Really great because we use bardic inspiration for that. For our spells, this is a concentration, but I love clouded daggers. It's tough to find something that we can use because there's not a whole lot of things. Detect thoughts would be great if you're the face of your party. Heat metal is typically our like go-to damage option as a bard, but we can't really use that as well. So it's tricky using this up. So blindness or something like that can be okay to grab. For our weapon, this doesn't really matter too much because we can't make the most use of this, as we're going to be going with likely 2-handed weapons, but you could go 2-weapon fighting, which is a decent option. Like there are some great 2-handed options. I'm using the Baldur greatsword for this, and that's why we're going to be dumping strength, using the potion, and getting the most out of the Baldur greatsword. But 2-weapon fighting can also be quite viable because we're going with high dexterity. You might want to pump your dexterity a little bit higher if you're going for the 2-weapon fighting and using finesse weapons, but either way it can work pretty well. This game isn't too difficult, so you don't have to have the most optimized perfect build in the world. Mage hand, I guess, for our cantrip. I don't think there's concentration on that, so not going to lose the concentration, which is interesting. For our next level 2 spell, this is tricky because all these are concentrations. Enthrall can be okay. Hold person can also be okay, but that's concentration. It's just nice to have a bit of crowd control. We're going to get our second feat here, so we can take, if you're going with dexterity weapons, you can pump your dexterity up. I personally like Great Weapon Master, so you get a -5 to attack rolls, but additional 10 damage. And then that can be toggled off as well. And then you can also attack with, after you hit a critical hit or kill an enemy, you can do a bonus action attack. I think that's really nice, especially with the extra movement speed that you get from the barbarian. So something like that, or bumping your constitution up. It's really up to you. There's a few other options if you want to go Sentinel and Polearm Master, but I think that this is really the best way to go about this build, as silly as it is. So now we get our level 5 Bard, which gives us a nice boost to our Bardic Inspiration. We get the Font of Inspiration. You regain all of your Bardic Inspiration on a long or short rest. And the bonus gain from Bardic Inspiration goes to 1d8. So we are going to be dealing more damages with our Flourishes, which is really nice. We get a level 3 spell, which we're not really using a whole lot, so Glyph of Warding can be okay. I don't think there's concentration required on it. It doesn't say that you need concentration, so you can pop that down before raging. Could be quite nice. And then this is where we're going to be splitting into Paladin. Now, you could go Paladin a little bit earlier. This is where we get that extra attack, but that's nullified as we already have the extra attack from Barbarian. But we're going to grab in the Paladin here, and I really think that the Oath of the Vengeance being the best one. You can use Inquisitor's Might to get 3 extra radiant damage. And then into our next level, this is where the build kind of comes together finally. We get the Paladin Smites. Now, our fighting style is nice because you don't get a Barbarian fighting style, so you can go with the Great Weapon fighting if you're going with the 2 weapons, or the 2-handed weapon, or you can go defense if you're using dual weapon, or yeah, two-handed weapon. Dueling, yeah, I think Great Weapon fighting is powerful here because the Barbarian doesn't get any of that. So I think the best ones to go with is grabbing all the smites that we can get at this level. We're not going to use Bless because we can't have concentration, so Thunderous Smite, Wrathful Smite, Searing Smite, and then something like Divine, no, it's concentration. Maybe just throw an extra heal on just for good time's sake. Now we could even go with Now I think level 2 Paladin really works the best here, so we actually end up getting quite a bit of attacks options. Divine Smite being our most powerful attack there, and that's 15 to 39 damage, which are quite crazy, before even considering a critical hit. Now, best gear for this, obviously Barbarian gear is very powerful, so when you rage, hostile creatures must do a Wisdom saving throw or take 2 to 8 damage. And Wisdom saving throws are not very likely for the opponents to do, so that's nice. You also get the Bone Spark Garb, which gives us Slapjaw, Determination, 15 temporary health whenever we rage. Very useful as the Barbarian. You also get Bone Spike Gloves, which attacks ignore resistance to slashing, piercing, or bludgeoning damage. You can also take the gauntlets that set your strength if you don't want to be popping the potions all the time. And then finally we get the Bone Spike Boots, which +1 to armor class and saving throws as long as you're not wearing armor or holding a shield. And then for weapon, Baldur's Greatsword on a hit, double the damage from your strength modifier, which is going to be +8 or +7 or 8. I think it's 8 with the potions, so that's crazy. This weapon also grants you advantage on attack rolls against large, huge, or gargantuan foes. We also get giant form, so that's really nice. For our weapons or amulets, I think Amulet of Ball works really great on this build as well. You get that near the end of the game, but it on hit inflicts bleeding upon targets that have maximum hit points. You can also grab the Constitution amulet, which gives you Constitution. You can dump that as well, since this class is quite heavy on its overall needs. So Killer Sweetheart is a great ring to equip here. Whenever you kill a creature, next attack roll will be critical. And then you can even stack that with other rings that have critical hits on them. So that's another great option you can go with. I also like the ring that gives you I guess there's Sunrocker's Gift. See in the dark up to 12 meters can be kind of nice if you're rushing in. Risky attack, give advantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on saving throws. Can be useful. The risky ring is kind of an interesting weapon to use, or ring to use. I like the extra acid damage. Damage riders are always nice. And then for our bow, we can use the Titan String Bow, which gives us our strength modifier to the attacks. But basically our main goal with a Barbarian is, even if you're not a Lithid, there's some great Lithid abilities like the Psionic Overload gives you plus damage every time you attack. So going in with flourishes, slashing flourish, we're going to be attacking 2 enemies at once. That plus acid damage is nice here whenever we're attacking multiple people. But we got up to level 3 slots. Every one of these should be used on a smite. So whatever you prefer using divine, or I guess whatever the occasion calls for, use that type of smite. You get your flourishes there because you can smite while you're raging, so that's super nice. We also have brutal leap there, which is pretty great. This is overall making the best of the build. It's honestly not bad with the right gear. The Barbarian is kind of a meme, but having a nice 27 to your strength from the Hill Giant potions or Cloud Giant potions, 27 strength, is incredibly powerful. Without even using that, we already got a pretty powerful build. But there it is, the Barbarian in Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for watching. I guess we can go ahead here. Where's the giant form? We'll make Karlach Giant just to end off the video. That's the Barbarian. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video fun or useful. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next video.